tried to get to him after the meeting, but I didn't speak to him. I haven't spoken to him yet.
How did you come to know Minister Louis Farrakhan?
I met Brother Lewis in Boston. No, I knew him before. I met him, I think it was in New York, when he was there visiting the temple there in New York City. This must have been 1957, around the time when I first met him.
Was he a calypso singer at that time?
No, when I met him, he was a lieutenant in the Boston Temple. Temple number, what was it? 11.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, Temple number 11 in Boston.
Was there any validity to this thing that, he was up in the balcony and he heard, he was thinking to himself something regarding the way the messenger speak, and the messenger read his mind and say, have you heard that story before?
I never heard that one before. What he told me was that that he had a little group called the Charmers, and that they were playing in Chicago, Illinois, at the Trianon Ballroom, and someone invited him out to hear the messenger. He said it was 1955.
Yes, sir.
He went out to hear him at the temple, and liked what he heard. I think he said he joined.
Yes, sir.
And then went back to Boston and searched out the temple there and began to attend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, while he was in the nation, being on the radio as the fill-in for the messenger, radio broadcast,
Yes.
if I can call it that. How did you perceive him while he was under the direct supervision of the messenger versus what he's teaching today?
Oh, at that time he was doing what the messenger told him to do.
Yes, sir.
He filled in for the messenger. The messenger sought him out because he had a good speaking voice. He was very articulate, and so the messenger allowed him to fill in for him on the radio. This did not happen until after Malcolm had left us.
Yes, sir.
And then Lewis was given a chance to come to New York City. I must add, he was not the messenger's first choice for minister in New York City.
Yes, sir.
I was the messenger's first choice, and then when he sent me to Philadelphia instead, then Minister James Shabazz from Newark became his second choice.
Yes, sir.
And he sent Minister James in there shortly after he had thrown Malcolm out of there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And James stayed there for a few months, but he and Captain Yusuf Shah didn't get along too well together.
Yes, sir.
So Yusuf went crying to the messenger, and the messenger told Yusuf that that Yusuf was his man, and that whoever Yusuf wanted in New York, that's who he could get. So the messenger took James out of there, sent him back to Newark. Joseph said to the messenger, well, if you would give me Lewis up in Boston, I think that, he could be a good minister for New York.
Yes, sir.
So the messenger told him, so well, you can have him.
Yes, sir.
He said, well, now, brother, he is only to teach. You and Maceo run that temple. At that time, the messenger was very skeptical of Lewis because he thought that Lewis was too sympathetic to Malcolm, and that he thought he was gonna lose Lewis to Malcolm when Malcolm went out. So he wasn't keen on the idea, but he felt that if Joseph could keep Lewis in check,
Yes, sir.
then he could have it.
Yes, sir.
So Joseph assured the messenger that he could keep Lewis in check, that he wasn't going to get loose and do the kind of thing that Malcolm did. So then the messenger told him, "So you can have Lewis."
Yes, sir.
He said, "But he is not to run the temple. I will pay him. You all watch my temple and watch my money."
Yes, sir.
That was his instruction to Joseph and to Maceo.
Yes,
Joseph was the captain, Maceo was the secretary.
Mm.
And they ran that temple.
Yes, sir.
They reported to the messenger right along with Farrakhan.
Mm.
At the end of the month, when all the ministers would go to Chicago, Joseph and Maceo would be right there with Farrakhan, which that was the only temple that had to do such a thing as that.
Mm.
And it was only because the messenger was somewhat apprehensive about Lewis's joining Malcolm.
Yes, sir.
And so he kept Lewis on tight reins.
Yes, sir.
And all he did for several years was just to stand up and teach, and that's it. The running of the temple was left up to those two.
Yes, sir. All right, just to kind of switch tracks here, how would you summarize what Wallace D. Muhammad is teaching presently?
I'm not surprised by what he teaches. That which he is teaching is Orthodox Islam. You can read it in any book. You know, it's mostly ritual and tradition.
Yes, sir.
And things of that sort. It's nothing new, but it isn't what the messenger had advocated for us.
Yes, sir.
The messenger said that we were to stick with his teachings, not to get caught up in Orthodox type teachings,
Yes, sir.
because those Orthodox Muslims are, he says, they haven't been dead like this so-called Negro.
Yes, sir.
So you mess around with them, you wind up being a new slave to an Arab,
That's right.
like you had been to the white man.
Yes, sir. How would you summarize what Minister Louis Farrakhan is teaching today?
Unfortunately, Louis Farrakhan is teaching politics, civil rights. Very little Islam is taught by the messenger. And he's perpetrating a great fraud on the Muslim community, because many of the people that follow him think that he is teaching the same things that he taught under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and nothing could be further from the truth. He is almost diametrically opposed to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was teaching before he left us.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure that Farrakhan is aware of what he's doing. He's a very smart brother. He's intelligent, and nobody could make a mistake so deliberately as what he is making today without knowing full well what he's doing.
Yes, sir.
He has very skillfully rejected the messenger's teachings. They have repudiated it, has changed it around. He used to open up, his salutation was the same as it had been for many years, saying, "In the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, and in the name of his messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad." He doesn't say that anymore. Now when he makes his salutation, it's just in the name of Allah and his messenger Muhammad, Ameen, which is the same thing that Arabs say. Lewis has compromised the teachings. I saw the clearest evidence of it when he returned from Libya. He appeared to have undergone a change, and he was no longer teaching the same things that he had taught under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I know Gaddafi. I was in Libya with Muhammad Ali before Farrakhan had gone there. And Gaddafi had made Muhammad Ali an offer of a lot of money, not if he so much that he would repudiate the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but that he would go and be an emissary for Gaddafi in the rest of black Africa, for which Gaddafi offered us at that time 150,000 barrels of oil per day. Had Ali taken the deal, had he not messed up today, Ali would be the first black billionaire in North America. But he messed up, and I'm not going to go into the details of it. But the monies that Farrakhan got from Gaddafi was monies that originally had been earmarked for Muhammad Ali.
Yes, sir.
And one of the, I've heard, please don't quote me, but I heard that one of the contingencies was that Farrakhan was to stop teaching the message of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and began to preach Orthodox Islam.
Yes, sir.
And when he came back, he sounded very much like an Orthodox to me.
Yes, sir. Okay, during a 1972 interview of The Messenger by 16 Chicago-based journalists, are you familiar with that interview? Around 72 by 16 journalists in January 72.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Not off the top of my head.
Yes, sir. Well, a question was asked of The Messenger, which read, how will your resources be administered? And The Messenger answered, quote, they will be carried on by the nation after setting up the nation on the right way or right path to take care of themselves. They do not need any more instructions on that. They will follow it as the Constitution of America has been followed, unquote. Now, what does that mean to you?
It's fairly
From
large.
the governing aspect, he's trying to.
Brother, I would like to answer that question, but at this time, my jet lag has overcame me,
Okay.
and I'm unable to continue coherently, so I'd rather delay my answer until tomorrow.
All
Thank
right.
you, anyhow.
Okay. We'll stop. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Pass that particular question and go to. Okay, you mentioned once that the messenger stated that the nation would be ruled by council. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, the messenger did not use the word council. The question was asked of him what would happen in the event of his death, that if he died soon, which at that time they meant within a few years, what would happen.
Yes, sir.
And the messenger went on to say that this is asked by his ministers, not by a reporter.
Yes, sir.
And the messenger said that he had taught us enough that we could continue on with the teachings. And that what we should do as ministers is to come together and choose one from among us to be the spokesman. But he warned us, he said, now that person is not to assume the position of the messenger, because they can't do that. So you all will have chosen him.
Yes,
He
sir.
said, Allah chooses his messenger, but you all can choose one from among you to be the spokesman,
Yes, sir.
but that one will not be the messenger.
Yes, sir.
And that he shouldn't assume or try to assume the position of the messenger over the people.
Yes, sir.
He would just be the spokesman, and however we wanted to set it up.
Yes, sir.
But he said there should be no change in the teachings.
Yes, sir.
He emphasized that point very strongly, that he didn't want to change in the teachings, that the teachings ought to be carried on in the same way until we achieve our objective, and that is to make good, righteous people out of these black people that had fallen so far into the pit.
Yes, sir. Now, given that, in your opinion, Brother Minister, why do you think that, and grant me that I'm assuming this now, that we don't see the various camps that's out here? Why is it that they just don't seem to be able to teach those teachings like the messenger told them?